It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
Well, passing is not impossible here. Yesterday showed it can take some real work. Can those starting towards the back overcome their lack of track position? Let's find out as we get ready for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series. I am Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is TDI Cup alumni Joey Atterbury. Joey, it's looking like the run to turn one is going to be very, very busy if yesterday is anything to go on.
Absolutely. You got this huge long straightaway here at this Burt Brothers Motorpark out here, just located about 40 minutes outside of Salt Lake City. And a couple of those key areas you had just mentioned, turn number one, probably your biggest and best passing opportunity because it is off that hugely long front straightaway. Turn number 5, that Black Rock hairpin. We saw a lot of action over there yesterday as well. Cars diving down the inside, and then look towards the attitudes. That is the section of the racetrack where the drivers are going to really have to attack the curbs, attack the racetrack in order to be fast. And we also saw some choke points between the two classes there. And then look towards Sector 3, Turn 23, also known as Release. It's got a little bit of camber built into the track over there, and it is so important because, Joe Peak, it leads you out onto that long front straightaway.
Which we can see the end of right here as the cars exit out of pit lane, starting their pace lap. So let's go through our starting order. And Matthew Siegel, the local, going to be on pole once again. Scott Blend going to see if he can deny him a double victory for the weekend on his outside. He's our pole sitter for the Masters. Brandon Hankins then starting from third, has Daniel Hanley in fourth next to him. After that, you get the row 3 where James Larkin starts in P5. Mark Wilgus will be from 6. And then the last of our 992 Cup field has Mark Krigler starting in 7th, Joey. From there, Tom Rogers will be on the pole for the Caymans. Jack Perriott next to him. Front row start for Jack. I think that's first for him. Then we get into row 2. Greg Herback is going to be on the pole, or on third, with Tim Smith starting from the 4th position. After that, our last row in the Caymans sees Henry Marshall starting in 5th, and then 6th is David Bradshaw. So 13 cars back once again. Didn't lose any of them after yesterday. In fact, I think one of the big things about yesterday that I noticed, Joey, is we really only had 2 offs that we're aware of. One of them we didn't even get to see on camera.
Of keeping the racing clean on the track itself, and that's what we like to see. You know, you don't want to go bumping and banging into your competitors out there. That leads to some awkward conversations once the race is over. But I think that all of the drivers staying on their kind of P's and Q's out there, not bumping into each other. We did see some a little bit of contact, I think, down in turn number 1. So I think, Joe, kind of to reiterate what you were saying, I think if you're going to highlight one specific corner here today, definitely be looking down the end of the front straightaway.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think that is going to be kind of the action zone through much of the race. Siegel, as we mentioned, trying to go back-to-back, is the local coming in on his home track, just like he raced here last season, and trying to see if he can show these guys how it's done as they start to get lined up 2 by 2 on the run down to Clubhouse Corner. So with it being pretty decent temperatures once again, a little bit warm, but not too bad out here in these sunny conditions, about 86, just about 87 degrees Fahrenheit with very little wind. And as is typical for this area, nice clear skies to give us lots of bright sunshine, although that will heat up the track somewhat and just make the pavement that little bit more slippery for the drivers. What's it going to look like into that first corner down at Sunset Bend as they wait to take the green flag? Siegel leading them up to the line with Blend next to him. There is the green flag, and we are racing as they accelerate away. It looks like Siegel did get a good start, but so did Hankins down the inside. Can he get by Blend? Remember, Blend racing in the Masters class. So for Hankins, this is important. He's not thinking about second. He's thinking about first. He's going to take it away from Siegel at turn 1.
Yeah, and I think there was contact in turn 1 with our Cayman GT4 cars. I think I see Herback around. I think I see Tim Smith around. There is a lot of smoke down there in turn number 1 from the outside of the racetrack. A huge incident to start this one off.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I saw very few of them still on the track, it looks like. So hopefully we have at least a bit of the field left in those Caymans. Still a battle for the lead in the Cup cars, as it looks like Hankins has to go defensive into Black Rock Hairpin. So he has done what he needs to do. He's gotten the lead away. Can Hankins now get away from Siegel up there and keep him from repassing him?
Yeah, and I'm sure that we're going to be taking a look at turn number 1 in race control, but look at these GT3 Cup cars stream their way towards the attitudes for the first time. This is that aggressive section of the racetrack where the drivers really have to attack those curbs left, right, and then back to the left. Avoid that tire bundle that's sitting out there at one of those apexes. You definitely don't want to hit that thing.
We mentioned it yesterday. Hankins is still looking for that first win of the season.
Full course yellow, Joe. We finally got it.
Yeah, not too surprised with how many cars we saw involved. So a bit disappointed that not all of them were able to get away. I see Herback and Smith on our timing and scoring as shown in last place. So I'm going to take a wager that those are the 2 that are stuck.
Yeah, and I also see Perriott here. Really unfortunate for this driver. This is Jack Perriott. He's about 35, 40 seconds behind the rest of the field here. So you had mentioned Smith and Herback. I think, unfortunately, Perriott was the third car involved in that one as well. I didn't really get to see it firsthand. I kind of looked down at some of the onboard videos here, Joe, and I noticed Greg Herback, and all of a sudden Tim Smith's car was pointed perpendicular directly in front of him. So there was a huge incident down there, and you actually see driver's right side before we get to turn number 1. That's where Herback's car is, and then you see Tim Smith all the way down there at the end of the straightaway. So, Joe, I actually think this started on the straightaway going into the brake zone. That's a pretty big incident down there.
It does look like it. Yeah, I saw a few telltale signs. There was a bit of fluid coming from underneath Herback's car, and then it looked like there was a bit of tire track on the inside of the entry to the corner that kind of headed towards Smith's car. So I think you're right that it looks like they got tangled, and so maybe some of the other cars kind of that we saw off in the dirt on the outside were just trying to take avoiding action, would be my guess.
Yeah, and when we talk about the initial start of the race, you have to be aggressive out there, because if you're not aggressive, you can potentially lose the positions. And when you're stacked next to each other, you got somebody directly in front of you, you got somebody directly behind you. It's your best possible opportunity to make those passes. Unfortunately, sometimes it can kind of boil over, and that's kind of what happened here in turn 1 here to start this one out. But one thing is to say, Joe, is that Porsche makes some incredibly safe race cars. I'm sure those drivers will be hopping out and having some words with each other, kind of figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think about some of the big incidents that I have seen. What few of them there have been in these 2 seasons that I've been covering the Porsche Sprint Challenge, and really haven't had much in the way of any injuries or problems with drivers. They tend to be able to walk away from them, although sometimes for some of them maybe a bit rattled in the process. Here we go. We got a good angle on at least the back of Herback's car as they're already putting the flatbed up to it. Hopefully they'll be able to get it on there quickly, because that's essentially blocking the track right now.
That's a very, very good point here, Joe. And I do see the rest of our field. I think they're over in the attitudes right now. So hopefully we'll be able to get that up on the flatbed and get it removed off the racetrack. I also see Jack Perriott climbing out of his car right now on pit road. So really unfortunate for the driver of that number 13. We highlighted him so much yesterday, made so much improvement over the course of the season, wound up pretty much on the overall podium for the Caymans yesterday, won his class, but unfortunately today is not going to be able to repeat that.
Well, one driver that is not too sad about this, I believe, is going to be David Bradshaw. Best finish so far, I believe, of 5th place this season. I'll have to double check, see where he finished yesterday. But he has got a good shot at a podium finish right now as he sits in 2nd out of the Masters. And then Henry Marshall also looking like he might be able to return to the podium. Hasn't been there since his 2 wins at Spring Mountain earlier on this season. So they're bringing him off to the left-hand side. They might have to take them through the dirt here, because I don't think they have an access road that they can maybe sneak around on the outside. You can see there is another pit lane. So we're getting information that race control is letting the safety car know they might have to stop here. So this is an interesting one. I don't think I've ever seen this where there's a track.
Here we go.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're just simply going to pull the tow truck out of the way because they didn't have the car hooked up. I think this is the right move from both race control and the track workers out there. You want to get it cleared as efficiently as possible, but you also have cars that are on the racetrack, so you got to keep them moving out there. And you had mentioned Bradshaw having that terrific opportunity right here. Another opportunity that I'm looking at, Brandon Hankins. He had that excellent start. He finds himself in the overall lead right now, and with the full course yellow, it's just simply bleeding the time off of the clock. That means less time that he has to worry about the rearview mirror.
I was trying to figure out which driver that was.
That was Tim Smith helmet down there.
That's what I thought. If there was going to be blue, I was like, that's got to be Tim. So I'm really glad to see him out and walking around, because there was an emergency vehicle out there, an ambulance. So that was probably just a standard procedure that they'll send it out there, give him a once over, make sure everything is okay. Brandon Hankins, he's got such a great opportunity, but I feel like maybe this is not what he would want, because a restart will probably give Siegel a good chance to try and reattack into that very same corner.
I think yes and no. On the initial start, it's up to maintaining the pace car speed, making sure you've got the pack nice and tight. But on the restarts, it's a little bit more in the leader's hands. So I think that if I was leading, Joe, I would probably back everybody up in Sector 3 and just focus on that turn number 23, the release off of corner named release. As long as you can get the power down there, you should be able to kind of scoot away from everybody. At least that's how I would execute it. But remember, restart is different from that initial start. You can change columns and everything.
Exactly. It's going to be a little bit more dangerous in that sense, for sure. And Hankins had just a couple starts in 2024. I think his only ones for the PSC were in Sonoma. So he is still coming in maybe a little bit more green, or at least on the greener side of his racing career. But he did some vintage racing before he came to this, as well as competing in the Porsche Club of America, which a lot of these drivers do get involved with them over there. So as we wait for them to clean up the mess, at least glad to see we've gotten visual on one of the drivers. Haven't heard or seen anything about Greg Herback, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there is bad news there. I'm sure they'll be very disappointed with that being literally before we even get to turn 1, that they really didn't get a chance to show what they could do today.
Yeah, and there was that shot down there in turn number 1. I can report that they have moved Herback's car, so it's no longer going to be an issue of picking it up on the flatbed and blocking the racetrack. They've actually moved it perpendicular about 90 degrees, so that way the tow truck should not be able to obstruct the racing surface, because as you see, our field is coming through Sector 3 down here. They're going to be completing another lap under safety car conditions and meeting that incident area down there in turn number 1 here soon enough. So track workers doing an excellent job making sure to get all these cars cleaned up. I don't see any issues with the guardrail itself. Joe, if I'm putting on my driving hat over here, I think the only worrisome part as a driver is hopefully those brake markers are actually still on the road or off the track down there on the driver's right-hand side, because if a car knocks those out, that can be a little bit more difficult with the reference getting down there on the top speed side of things.
I hadn't even considered that. Yeah, that's a really good point. If you've been using those so religiously all weekend, that will make life quite difficult to be consistent throughout the race. So it looks like... I don't see Perriott back out on the track. Let me check his onboard camera.
He climbed out of the car, Joe. He pulled it into pit road, had the crew evaluate the damage on the car. Unfortunately, I saw him climb out of that number 13.
I can see his onboard now, and they've got the hood up. So I wonder if maybe made front-end contact, something with the radiator potentially, that they're investigating that side of the car. I guess better that than the engine.
Yes, 100%. And I think it's extremely unfortunate to start a race like this. Of course, you never want to see an accident out there, especially with how clean they've been performing all weekend long. But these things do happen. What's most important is the drivers should be safe and clear. We saw Tim Smith out there walking around, so we know driver of that number 70 is just fine. I see some more emergency vehicles leaving the scene. I saw Herback's car getting kind of moved around out there, so I'm sure that Greg is doing just fine as well. Like I said, Porsche makes some extremely safe race cars, and once everything is cleaned up on the track, we'll get back to the racing action here soon enough.
I remember we were talking about yesterday that the point situation became very tight for the lead in the Cup Pro-Am Championship. With after yesterday's results, it should be a single point between Hanley and Hankins. Hanley still leading. That said, right now, Hanley is not only in third behind Hankins and Siegel. He's got Scott Blend separating them. So I feel like once we get this restarted, especially with a very truncated race, I almost feel like maybe the pressure is on Daniel Hanley here. He's got to really get up on the wheel.
Yes, I think if we're looking at the championship for sure in the points, but at the same time, you don't want to drive outside of your limit. You can only perform in terms of that 100% capability. So as soon as you step over that, you're kind of putting yourself out there in dangerous land, and you don't want to kind of cause yourself a bad day. But shoe on the other foot for Hankins out front, right? This could be the opportunity that he is looking for. And so he needs to basically put on the best driving that he can absolutely do out here in Utah and try to pull away from Siegel, try to pull away from Hanley, who's actually that fourth place car in line. So I'm a firm believer that the championships are won on the worst days. Right now, Hanley needs to be able to recover, and Hankins needs to be able to capitalize.
To give you an idea of how frustratingly close it's been for Brandon Hankins, his results have been third, second, fourth, second. He's been finishing extremely well. Only one race where he missed the podium, and none of them have managed to be the top step quite yet. So he's going to be hungry for it without a doubt, and he's now got a very good chance to try and take a checkered flag. But it's going to be probably in the realm of about 20 minutes plus a lap if he's going to do it, depending on how quickly they continue to finish this cleanup here as we get back around to the start-finish line. So we'll start at least one more lap because I haven't heard any word about lights out on the safety car. There we can see the progress of the now very dusty car of Herback.
And Joe, yes, it is very, very dusty. I saw some of the dryers go through about 15, 20 seconds ago. So lots of sand in the air down there at turn number one. The crew, I'm sure, is going to have a fun time sweeping all that out from the inside of the car, because as soon as the driver gets in there and starts driving around and looks like a snow globe inside, they're going to be pretty frustrated and put that visor back down.
Without a doubt. So there we can see them. There's some of those blowers getting off to the side and out of the way. And
Joe, you were right. That overhead drone shot, you could see the skid marks where that emergency vehicle was over on the right side of the racetrack. And so it started. So sometimes when you're at top speed and you jump on the brakes, the car moves around a little bit. It's not going to wander, but it might move 3 inches, 6 inches to one side and then kind of settle back in. And I wonder if they were just so close side by side that when one of them jumped on the brakes, the car maybe moved just that little bit in the brake zone, because that was very, very early into turn number one to have that incident.
And my mind goes to the incident we saw at Coda down at turn 12, where I think it was Hankins actually involved in that with Jim Walsh, where they touched tire to tire somehow. So yeah, could have been that maybe just the perfect storm happened again and somebody got clipped in just the wrong way, and that was all she wrote for at least 3 drivers from the very start. We also had a did not start for James Larkins in this one, it looks like. So we've lost 4 effectively from the field before we really got too much racing. This is on board with Scott Blend, currently our leader in the Cup Masters Championship, and that's with him missing, well, or at least not attending Spring Mountain the first 2 races. Otherwise, it's been a first, a third, a first, and a first. And his next one down, Jim Walsh, isn't even here today, as he's only doing a partial season. So Scott Blend is in a very good position to take the Cup Masters Championship here in the USA West Series, as we got word that the safety car lights are out. We're getting ready to go racing soon.
Yeah, so the field is in the attitudes right now. I'm looking down at turn number 1. Everything is cleaned up. They have got the safety vehicles off of the racing surface. I think they're dragging the last one off right now. So plenty of time for our pace car to get down into pit road, release our field. And Joe, going back to our talking point, let's see how Hankins kind of handles this restart. Remember, it's not the initial start where you kind of have to stay in the column and wait for that green flag. Restart rules are slightly different.
And is Siegel aware of that with him in his first race this season out here? How well has he been studying and knowing exactly what he needs to do or watch out for from Brandon Hankins, who is going to try his best to run away and hold that lead down into turn one. His fight is not with Siegel necessarily on points, but he needs to maximize the opportunity at this stage. Pace car is in, off the final corner. He's already on it. He's trying to go as early as he can as the green flag is out for Brandon Hankins with about 18 minutes plus a lap to go. Siegel gets a good run. He is going to be a threat down into turn one, depending on how deep he can break into that corner, but it looks like he's just a little bit too far back. It's going to be very single file for the Cup cars into turn one.
Yeah, Siegel is able to close it up by about a car length there at the apex at turn number one, but it stays Hankins out front in that white and black machine with the red highlights. Then you got Scott Blend as that black car third in line as we come up to what is turn number three here, the first of this double apex left-hander. Sweep it into turn number four and head down to the Black Rock hairpin. Looks like that Hankins is doing a mighty fine job so far.
Saw a little bit of a defense from Brandon down at this left-hander here. Didn't quite get to the apex, but doesn't matter. He's still up in front of the 267. Hanley's not been able to dispose of Blend. He is still separated by our now lone Masters car, still circulating out on the track as we hop on board with Scott.
Riding on board this black number 245, we are going to take a fast right-hander here off of this middle straightaway and head towards what is turn 16, 17, and 18, known as the Attitudes. Bounce over that left-hand curb, avoid those tire bundles on driver's right, attack the curbs on the left side, the most amount of elevation that we've got here at Burt Brothers Motorpark, and then sling it through Tuella turn number 19.
Taking plenty of that exit curb, not a problem. Car soaks it up just fine as they break now for Clubhouse Corner. Nobody able to do anything into this one. It's been a pretty orderly restart, but much like we saw yesterday, top three are remaining relatively close together.
See about the run out onto the front straightaway here, because this is the first lap under these green flag conditions. And I got to say that Hankins nailed the apex and the corner exit perfectly coming out onto this long front straightaway. Is actually able to pull away from Siegel. Scott Blend now closing it in the slipstream, going down into the brake zone. No pressure, the back from the 295. So all he's got to do is focus out the windshield, focus forward, and it's all up to Siegel to give chase.
He's at least been keeping them within reaching distance up to this point. And that's probably the big thing that he's got to focus on, I think, here. Ooh, this is another good run. We've seen a couple times, and there's another defensive move from Hankins coming into Black Rock, just making sure that he's going to have to really work for it if Siegel wants to try and make that pass into there. Almost feels like maybe Brandon is a little weak coming out of workout and through screen.
I agree. Yes, I think that Siegel was a little bit faster in terms of rolling the speed through those really high-speed left-handers. And this is a high-speed right-hander that they're coming up to, known as turn number 15. It kind of connects the outer layout with the inner layout here. You see them join on the racetrack and then go over into the Attitudes. Saw our leader really attack the curbs this previous lap. Let's see if he does it again. No, he's a little bit more shallow on the flat side of the racing surface. That time we saw Siegel attack that apex curb down there through the Attitudes, and they both stay off of the curb, the apex curb and Tuella turn there. So I think it's up to the driver. How is the car handling? Do you need the apex curb to help rotate the car, or is it better when it's more stable on the flat track?
That's a good question. And I imagine with a lot of laps around here, Siegel probably knows a few tricks, a few secrets where he can just gain a tenth or two over the course of the lap, or find the speed he needs to set himself up into the right corner, such as into Sunset Bend here at the end of the front straight. But no, Hankins pulls away, really actually stretches out with an impressive launch down the main straightaway, and he's far more clear than we've seen on previous laps.
So in order to get a pass done, you need to be there in a passing zone, a passing opportunity. And right now what Hankins is doing, he's focusing on the exit of turn number 23, which simply does not allow the second place car to get there into that passing opportunity. But this right here, much, much closer for Siegel. He is literally underneath the rear wing of our leader going into turn number 5, a little bit defensive from Hankins. And now Siegel's going to take a look. He's at the apex. He's got the lead.
Oh, but will he keep it? It's a switchback. Unfortunately, it's a right-hander here through right hook and knockout, and he has to fade out of it, admitting he has lost the lead this time by. So Hankins down to second. Critically, he's still ahead of Hanley by a position, so he's still outscoring his rival. But does he want to get beat by Siegel once again? He stays with him, way off the apex of the entry to the Attitudes.
Yeah, it was just about a car width wide there on that fast right-hander, and you saw how much track position he's actually already lost in comparison to Siegel, who's kind of scooted it out by about 5, maybe 7 car lengths now over Hankins. So all Brandon needs to do is just kind of regroup out there. He was able to lead in front of everybody for those handful of laps at this restart now, so he just needs to kind of reset mentally inside the race car, focus on this turn number 23, because Joe, we've seen him be able to excel in this next left-hander, just needs to nail the apex and stick there in second place.
Absolutely. And for Siegel, we kind of theorized that he was stronger coming through workout, and it looks like that was very much true this last time by, as that's where he got the pass done over Hankins. Will he be able to continue to pull away there, as doesn't seem like Brandon was able to get that great of a run out of release once again. Remains in that second place as we watch them head through that first turn, then switching back into Dreamboat. We haven't had a changeover in the Caymans. It is still Tom Rogers who leads, and Bradshaw in second with Henry Marshall in a nice third.
Joe, I'm pretty sure our brains get information from the same spot, because that's exactly what I was just about to mention as a recap on our Cayman GT4 class. But yeah, Rogers is out front with a nice commanding lead right now as we watch our GT3 Cups field their way through turn number 5. Ever since that Hankins lost that position and kind of went wide in that fast right-hander, he has gathered it back up. Scott Blend has not been able to close it in anymore. He's been able to maintain about 7, maybe 10 car lengths behind Siegel, but this is where it really gets tough. You have to deal with a little bit of dirty air. You know, it's not going to be too much. The car is still going to be able to handle quite nicely, but it's just one more variable for the driver to deal with inside the cockpit.
It's funny that you mentioned the same mind there, because you had mentioned looking for the passing zones earlier, and my mind went back to a co-commentator from many years ago that I worked with, who was an accomplished sim racer. And when I had mentioned passing zones, his response was, the entire track is a passing zone.
I mean, it's true, right? It's not a lie. And as long as you can get a run on somebody, you can pass them anywhere you like. I just think the biggest thing with overtaking, and you know, we didn't see the incident down there at turn number 1 to start this race, but usually the overtaking car has to be nice out there. You can't just barge your way through. That's the one main rule about passing.
Yeah, you got to do it safely, especially in this series. They very much stress clean racing out there in these cars, because this is a series that is kind of the first rung on the ladder of professional racing that Porsche has developed. It helps them really bring drivers up, give them an opportunity to learn and grow, find some speed, and hopefully live out their dreams. So this is the entry for so many, and part of that is getting that clean racing down. You can get more aggressive later on when there's perhaps bigger budgets involved and more experience to be able to safely fight out on track. But for now, they want you to try and make sure that you get those overtakes done without taking any parts off the car or any paint necessarily. So for the battle for the lead, it has been clean, but it unfortunately was switched back a little bit quickly here for Hankins. Siegel, though, doesn't feel like it's that unfortunate. He's already got that gap up to about a second, and he seems to be controlling this quite well.
Yeah, and I'm always a fan of hard data, so I always go back and look at timing and scoring. That last lap time from Siegel of 54.78. Last lap time from our second place car of Hankins of 55.1, so just slightly slower than our overall leader as we ride on board with Wilgis back here in the number 250. Just went through the attitude section. Wilgis is actually running 4th in that Pro-Am class. He's actually got a lot of company in the rear view mirror. Can't quite see it, but now we can. That's in the form of the 204 car of Krigler, about 3/4 of a second behind.
I was thinking that too. I noticed a little bit earlier that they've been in quite a fight for 4th in the Pro-Am class here. So good to see that that's still some action going on. Wilgus had a very, very good weekend at COTA. Got himself a double podium, including his first win of the season in the second race. So I don't think he's going to be repeating that this weekend, but still, he's got some fun in front of him if he can just hold on to Wilgus here. As Krigler is trying to see if he can put some pressure on down into turn one. Gets nice and close there through that left-hander.
Definitely closed it in about 2 car lengths. And so now we go through this fast sweeping right-hander known as turn number 2, and then into 2 separate apexes of fast left-handers. Work out turn number 3, and then we can't really quite see it from this angle, but they bend left right there for what is turn number 4, also known as Scream. Head down in towards the Black Rock hairpin, turn number 5 here at this Burt Brothers Motorpark. And actually, Joe, from what I see, it seems like Wilgus is doing a nice job of flowing the car through the corner. Krigler a little bit more aggressive on the brakes, so he can actually close it up in the first half, but kind of suffers the consequence in the back half of the corner.
That makes sense, and something to learn maybe come post-race, analyzing the data and seeing what exactly his driving style was doing throughout. By the way, just some housekeeping on that opening incident. Incident responsibility has been given to the 49, and that is Greg Herback. Now, they've given him a drive-through penalty, but it'll be added post-race as a time equivalent. It's kind of neither here nor there, as I think it's just essentially going to put him behind Tim Smith, who is right now scored as 5th in class.
I was just, while you were talking about Herback and that incident, I was watching the hands of Scott Blend here, and he had a wheel full of counter steer coming off of turn number 23. So he is working inside the cockpit of that black number 245 car, just trying to keep it pointed straight and going down the racetrack. Sometimes is a little bit of a challenge. We had mentioned it's about 85, 86 degrees ambient temperature out here. So I'm sure the drivers are relishing that it's not COTA temperatures that we saw a couple weeks ago, but the track surface can still be plenty slippery.
Yeah, that's for sure. And like I had said earlier, with it being so sunny, I'm almost certain that it's still a pretty warm pavement out there that they're dealing with, on top of the sand that you had mentioned yesterday. As we got a spin, that was Hankins. Hankins loses his second place as he tries to get it going, almost high centers it on the curb, but that was Hanley sneaking through, and he's not going to gain points at this stage over his rival with a critical error.
So unfortunate. I think that was down in turn number 5. I think it was Hankins just trying to get on the power maybe a little bit too soon. And I was just talking about how slippery the racetrack looked from this onboard of Scott Blend, but evidently it is not just slippery in turn number 23. All of these slow speed corners, remember, these GT3 Cup cars have over 500 horsepower, 8,000 RPM. You still have to be careful with your right foot.
And we got a face full of it from on board Scott Blend. Great job reacting to the situation and getting out of the way without getting tangled up in it. Just shows you how fast things can happen. So there's our leader, Siegel, in the yellow machine you see, coming around with 4.5 minutes plus a lap left to go, and very much in the clear now. I mean, it was, about a second and a half back to Hankins for much of this race. Now, to go down to Hanley, which is the next car in class, it's more than 6 seconds. Siegel's got this one under wraps, basically.
Agreed, and I think this is now when the team comes on the radio and says, hey, let's report the gaps and say, you got this one in hand. You got 4 minutes plus 1 lap out there. Don't do anything crazy. You don't need to turn qualifying laps. Stay within your limits. Do laps at 9/10. You don't want to back it off too much, because as soon as you start kind of getting out of your rhythm, mistakes can happen. So you just tell the driver to keep doing his thing. Don't put the car at risk.
This is going to be such a frustrating weekend for Brandon Hankins, knowing that he was so close to taking the points lead, but that mistake was so costly in terms of the championship hunt. Hanley back through into second in class, third overall as well. Still unable to run down Scott Blend, our Masters leader, separating P1 and P2. And then, of course, this car, Matt Siegel, really representing Utah here with his local track and just leading lap after lap. It wasn't a perfect weekend, having lost the lead for a brief moment, but he didn't seem to let that fluster him. He's coming around now to probably about 2 or 3 laps to go.
I think that when you look at the race as a whole for Siegel, it's definitely going to be a win as long as he's able to collect the checkered flag, like you said here, and probably a few more laps. But yes, he did get overtaken on the start, but he didn't do any crazy moves to try to get the position back. He kind of let everything just unfold there in front of him. And then once he got close enough, he made the move down there in turn number 5 after following our leader for a handful of laps. So I think that when I look at the whole race for Siegel, perfectly executed. He kept his head on his shoulders the whole time. He didn't drive outside of his limits. He waited for the opportunity to come to him, and when it finally did, he was able to capitalize, and here he is driving away from everybody.
I believe on the podium we heard Courtois say something about would he maybe take this as an opportunity to try and compete in the rest of the series. And I feel like he definitely should. This has shown what he's capable of. Granted, I mean, home track advantage, so there is that factor to it. But he has performed beautifully, as you were talking about, Joe. He just did all the right things when the situation called for it, which I think is definitely its own skill. You can know the track, but knowing how to play the race out, this is a wise head on his shoulders.
Lapping and racing are two completely different things out there, and Siegel definitely proved that he can race out here in these Cup cars today. I'm going to create a little bit of a storyline here because we could or should be coming to 2 laps to go here. I'm noticing timing and scoring after Hankins' spin. He is a man on fire right now, laying down some of his fastest laps of the race, and he's actually 0.8 of a second faster than Hanley that last time by. Joe, that gap is now down to 1.2 seconds.
And if the last lap is anything to go by, which was about 0.8 of a second, yeah, he's going to be right on him at the very end of this race. But that means he'll have precious few opportunities to try and overtake. And we haven't seen a whole lot of overtakes this weekend at this track. It has looked like it can be somewhat tough to try and get by other drivers. So yes, you're right, 2 laps to go. That last time by the line here for Siegel. What's the gap going to look like in the battle for second between Hanley and Hankins by the time they get down to the next sector?
Just going to kind of have to watch timing and scoring here, see exactly where they are. There they are in turn number 1 visually, so now they're rocketing off to what is turn number 2, 3, 4 areas. Our leader makes his way through turn number 4 and head down to that Black Rock hairpin. I can say that Hankins is now less than 1 second back from Hanley, so still continuing to close it in. That last lap time still about 0.8 of a second faster. This could be that championship flip around. You had mentioned today could have been that opportunity for Hankins, but it seemed to slip through his fingers. He could at least recover from it.
And I mean, it's with only 1 point separating them, it's nice and simple. If he finishes ahead of Hanley, he's going to be our points leader after this one. If he finishes where he is now, then it'll go back to how it was when they started this weekend, which is about a 7 points difference. So we watch Siegel work his way down through bad attitude and towards Tuella once again. The gap up to 5.5 seconds over Scott Glenn, and that's not even within his own class. He is cruising up front, just putting in lap after lap. He'll get the white flag when he comes to the line. It's down to 0.6 of a second between Hanley and Hankins. He's coming.
Yeah, and I was just watching our leader go through what is clubhouse corner over there, and he was really sliding the car through, and there he goes through turn number 23. So he's going to come around, see the white flag at start finish. That should mean 1 more lap to go for the rest of our competitors.
This is going to be a fun one. Let's see what it looks like across the line. And I think, oh, no, he gained time. It's down to 0.4 of a second now. Hankins is there. What's it going to look like down through Sunset Bend? Let's see if we can hold this until they get through so we can get a visual distance between the pair of them. He is right on the bumper now.
He is literally pushing him through the exit of turn number 1 and 2 as our leader almost dipped some wheels on the outside of the racetrack. I think that Siegel has not lifted at all in terms of this lap time. Wants to go out there and finish on a high note here in Utah. And I can report Scott Blend still sitting there in second place overall, but it looks like Hanley was able to pull out maybe a couple car lengths over Hankins going to turn 5.
And we know that that is the weakest part of the track for Brandon Hankins so far this weekend. So he gets himself in a safe position. There's precious few opportunities to pass from here for the pair of them. What will Hankins attempt in trying to take the points lead away, or will he settle for that P3 just to try to collect them at the end of the day? This man going to collect a perfect score for the weekend, as I believe he also grabbed the pole position bonus point that you get here in this series. And as they work their way down towards Tuella, that's a little bit too far back for Brandon Hankins. He's going to have to hope for a mistake from Hanley. He wants to get that second place off of his hands. Meanwhile, turn through release for Matt Siegel. He comes out of the fire. It is victory for Matt Siegel here today at Burt Brothers Motorpark.
Nicely executed from that yellow 267, just waiting. Here comes Scott Blend. He is going to be your winner in the 992 Masters class, and Hanley is able to hold off Hankins, both on that Pro-Am podium.
0.2 of a second, less than 0.2 of a second between them. He was so close to it. Just one less mistake, and he may have been able to make that one work. We're waiting for Tom Rogers, who has been honestly doing a fantastic job out here, as it looks like Wilgus will finish ahead of Krigler. That another close one by about 0.4 of a second between the pair of them, as Rogers ran away from all the mess happening behind him and is going to give himself his 5th victory in a row with this one. If not, Bradshaw would steal it from him, which would put him over the moon, no doubt. Here he comes to the line now. Tom Rogers, your victor in the Cayman Masters once again.
I'm sure that he is going to be a happy camper, and looks like Bradshaw's probably about another 20 seconds back here. Should be entering through sector number 3 right now, just waiting for that number 71 to come across that final corner, rocket down the front straightaway, and pick up what will be second overall in the Cayman class and second in Cayman Masters. Here comes David Bradshaw. A wonderful race for this number 71.
And Henry Marshall returning to the podium for the first time since race 2 of Spring Mountain. He'll be thrilled about that one. That gives us a chance to go through our finishing order. Matt Siegel, as we said, going back-to-back for wins here in Utah. Scott Blend also going back-to-back in wins in his class in the Masters. Then Daniel Hanley, second for him, as third goes to Brandon Hankins, fourth to Wilgus, and fifth to Krigler. What about the Caymans, Joey?
Yeah, Tom Rogers was able to come away with that victory, just a commanding 30 seconds over David Bradshaw, who's also on the podium, and Henry Marshall rounding out the 3 Caymans that did finish today's race. So that is your Masters podium. Rogers, Bradshaw, and Marshall. Unfortunately for Jack Perriott, Greg Herbach, and Tim Smith, they were all collected in that incident on lap number 1.
Well, this closes up the racing for the weekend. We're not done with our coverage yet. Podium ceremonies coming your way shortly.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
It's time for our podium ceremonies here for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series here at Burt Brothers Motorpark. Race 2 saw quite a bit of action, and it's going to kick us off with the Cayman Masters podium celebrations. We're going to start with third place. Finishing there, it's the number 78 of Henry Marshall. Then finishing P2, it's his first podium of the season, the number 71 of David Bradshaw. And our winner today, having his 5th race on the bounce, it is Tom Rogers, the number 44.
Congratulations, Tom. Congratulations again. Your home race. It's got to feel pretty good, clean sweep this weekend.
It does. I was really a little nervous started yesterday's because the car is a little different. Even it's my home track. I've done 1,000 laps. It's really pleasing. It's great to have great competition, but really nice to bring it home. Unfortunate start. I'm glad to hear everybody is okay, but great race. Thank you.
Yeah, like you said, unfortunate start. But from yesterday to today, you had a bit more of a clean race. Has anything you changed at all?
Well, my head. You know, the first thing you start, the nut behind the wheel. So I've got some great coaching, great team people to tell me, like, calm down, quit driving too hard.
Yeah, speaking of that, we were sitting down with you and your wife yesterday, and she mentioned some pre-race things, maybe some shots of espresso. Did you use any of her advice?
Caffeine works great when you don't sleep. That's about all.
Yeah. Awesome. So she'd help you as well. Anyone else you'd like to thank?
Absolutely. Tatum Racing, thank the team, putting together a great car. Bruno for helping me with the coach, and everybody else. Porsche, Burt Brothers here. Great day. Super nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations again. And then there's one more award that we'll have for you, so you just stay up here.
Now the drivers get to spray some champagne. Huge congratulations to our podium. Tom wants to hang out up here. We got one more award for him. Because now it's time for the Good Boy Vodka Fastest Lap Award. And this, of course, goes to the number 44 of Tom Rogers. Now it's time for the 992 Masters. This one will be a little short and sweet. We have our winner here today. First place goes to the 245 of Scott Blend.
Congratulations, Scott. Like they say, it's lonely at the top. Here you are again. Veteran driver, a bit of a slow start to the race. What's the concentration look like for you in the car?
Yeah, believe me, I was really trying to stay with them, and I think we set the car up for a long race, and we were wanting it to come in late. It wasn't exactly a long race, or we weren't digging from the beginning, but I think until the middle of the race we held pretty tight, so we were happy with that.
Yeah, I think awesome, great weekend for you. Like we talked about yesterday, new car for you. Your team was had it set up. You flew them all in. You want to give them a shout out again?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we came in, didn't know what the setup was, the important thing, we were given a good platform. Bob did a great job giving us a good platform. But I always take my hat off and give all the credit to my guys who worked their butt off. They're amazing. And I also want to say, you know, we were underrepresented yesterday. We're really underrepresented today as Masters. But this one goes out to all my fellow Masters competitors out there watching, and we miss you.
Yeah, we sure do. Awesome. Congratulations.
Hopefully it's not too lonely, because now he gets to spray some champagne. At least he gets to have some fun. Congratulations to Scott Blend. Now it's time for our Apex Award. This goes to the hardest charger of the race. And working his way through up to a second today, it's the number 243 of Daniel Hanley. Congrats to Daniel for the Hard Charger Apex Award. Now we've got the 992 Pro-Am class. We'll start with third position. It's the number 295, Brannon Hankins. Second today with an impressive run up the field, the 243, Daniel Hanley. And our winner back-to-back this weekend here at his home track, it's the 267, Matthew Siegel.
Congratulations, Matthew. Come up here next to you. Like they said, clean sweep for you here. Same thing. It's your home race. How do you feel?
Pretty good. Yeah, I have a lot of laps here, but to be able to win an event like this, it's pretty special.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They were saying too, right? There was a long yellow in the beginning, and then the announcers were talking about how you didn't rush when you came to take the lead again. You were kind of methodical about that, right?
Yeah, on the restart, there was a lot of scraps on the tires, so it was definitely interesting getting that off. But, yeah, I was just waiting for him to make a mistake and find an opportunity going into 5.
Yeah, you capitalized on that. We're happy to see you here. Hopefully, like you said, your dad lets you do this again, and we'd love to see you on top. Congrats.
And for one last time this weekend, let's spray some champagne! Congratulations, that is our 992 Cup Pro-Am Podium. That concludes our racing for this weekend. Thank you for joining us here at Burt Brothers Motorpark. The Porsche Sprint Challenge USA Whisk Series will be back when we return July 25th to 27th at Laguna Seca. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.